Every single one of those operators thought that it was safe.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're exploring infamous moments in history when eerie photographs, especially when viewed with hindsight, were taken shortly before a disaster or a tragedy struck.
We lost people that have given over 40 years.
Pavel Kashin's last jump. Well known in the Parkour community and considered one of the best in the activity, Kashin decided to perform a stunt from a 16-story apartment building in St. Petersburg, Russia in 2013. Watched on by friends, one of whom would capture the daredevil's last moments as they took photos of him, Kashin attempted a backflip on the ledge of the property. However, he missed the landing, sadly falling nearly 200 feet to his death. As the community shared their condolences, Kashin's parents allowed the fateful photo to be publicized to not only showcase his talents, but also deter others from attempting similar stunts. The Air France Flight 4590 disaster. Once thought of as the pinnacle of air travel, the Concorde fleet of supersonic planes often cut traveling time by over half the time it took standard passenger jets. However, considering that power, when it went wrong, there were dire consequences.
The plane that crashed, filmed here on July 14th, was the oldest Concorde still in service.
In 2000, Air France Flight 4590 was taking off from Paris, France to New York City. As it went down the runway, Toshihiko Sato captured fire emerging from the jet before it took to the air. The Concorde's tire had exploded, causing debris to damage the landing gear and rupture the fuel tank.
Kerosene started to leak and eventually caught fire.
The plane soon lost control in the air and crashed into a nearby hotel. All passengers, crew, and 4 employees at the hotel lost their lives, resulting in 113 fatalities and 6 injuries.
Concorde had weak points, dangerous weak points, structural fragility, nothing minor.
Selfie train tragedy. In 2011, teenagers Essa Ricker, Kelsey Webster, and her younger sister Savannah Webster went to the train tracks in Spanish Fork Canyon, Utah. Savannah posted on Facebook about her excitement at standing near trains as they rode by.
2 sisters and their best friend taking selfies on the tracks.
However, the trio took the risk too far as they stood on the tracks to take a selfie. In the background, the lights from the Union Pacific train can be seen. Despite the workers on board the locomotive sounding the horn and applying the emergency brakes, the girls didn't notice the danger as they were struck.
Trains are very large, so people think that they're very loud, but the truth is they're relatively quiet.
Essa and Kelsey had already passed away as Savannah was rushed to the hospital. However, she sadly didn't recover and was taken off life support days later.
This is absolutely a preventable phenomenon and loss. My girls did not have to lose their life.
Darsh Patel's bear encounter. In 2014, Patel, a student at Rutgers University, went with 4 friends to hike in the Opshawa Preserve in West Milford, New Jersey.
Bear sightings are actually fairly common in this area. West Milford is known as bear country. What is extremely rare is to have a bear actually go and attack a human being.
However, during the nature walk, they soon realized an American black bear was following them. Patel got out his cell phone and took several photos of the animal, which progressively got closer to them with each image. The group then turned away from the bear, which caused it to attack. Everyone ran in different directions. However, the bear followed Patel. After the friends had lost sight of where he'd gone, the police were called. They sadly discovered Patel's remains.
There was bite marks and claw marks on the body.
A bear was located nearby, which the cops fatally shot, and found evidence that it had consumed a human recently.
Investigators don't believe the hikers provoked the attack and say the reason the bear pounced may never be determined.
Accidentally photographing own assassination. On New Year's Day in 2011, Reynaldo Dagza was with his family as they celebrated in Caloocan, Philippines, where he served as a councilman in the area. While outside his house, Dagza went to take a photo of his relatives next to a car. However, in the background, he unknowingly caught his assassin aiming a firearm at him. Shortly after taking the photo, Dagza was shot dead.
Look at the photographs and see the moment after he snapped the photo, he snaps the photo of the gunman.
The assassin was soon identified as Arnel Buenaflor, who was later arrested alongside a couple of accomplices.
Have they caught him?
They have. They've caught him and the other guy in the photograph too.
The police believe Dagza was targeted due to his work as a peacekeeper in the area, as his assassin was a part of a gang. Buenaflor was later charged with murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment.
And there's a suggestion that some of what he did in supporting the police ended up putting this guy in jail for something else, and it was a revenge sort of thing.
Princess Diana's tragic crash. It isn't unknown for the paparazzi, who specialize in photographing famous people, to overstep boundaries to get a photo. However, none have resulted in as much tragedy as this.
We have reports from Paris The Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident.
In 1997, despite no longer being married to Charles, the future monarch of the UK, Diana, the Princess of Wales, was still an obsession of the press. As she was being driven in a car in Paris, France, the paparazzi followed, taking pictures of her and other passengers.
The last thing I remember, we got in a vehicle, we pulled off, and the couple of paparazzi vehicles that were at the back of the hotel started to follow us.
One image of the back of Diana's head would be one of her last. This press pursuit, mixed with the driver being intoxicated, caused Diana's car to crash. She, her partner Dodi Fayed, and driver Henry Paul perished, leaving bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones alive, but seriously injured.
To think that this is what she's being remembered for, I just think is the ultimate tragedy for Diana.
Haunting message about Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. In 2014, Dutch national Cor Pan was boarding Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Before getting inside, he snapped a photograph of the plane and posted it on Facebook with an eerie caption in Dutch, meaning, "If it should disappear, this is what it looks like." Hours later, while over eastern Ukraine on its way to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, officials lost contact with the plane.
In the early afternoon of July the 17th, 2014, a Boeing 777-200 of Malaysia Airlines departs Amsterdam Airport Schiphol for Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
The investigation found it had been shot down with a missile by Russian separatist forces in Ukraine.
Where at the time of the crash, there had been fierce fighting between Ukrainian government forces and separatist militia, backed by Moscow.
Nearly 300 people lost their lives in the tragedy.
I personally have no doubts that it was an operation which was planned by Russian special services to bring down Malaysian Airlines civil plane flight MH17.
Pan wasn't the only one to upload a photo before the disaster. Teenager Gary Slock took a selfie with his mom, Petra, as they sat in their seats. The incoming tsunami waves. On December 26, 2004, an earthquake with a magnitude of 9.2 to 9.3 struck in the Indian Ocean, off the coast of northern Indonesia.
Go over the roofs and over the edge and with the fence, tall fence, and then to the trees. It's just happened just like that.
This caused a tsunami with waves up to 100 feet to crash into land, resulting in devastating damage.
The village was hit by a wall of water with a force so great it crushed almost everything before it.
Many countries in Asia and Africa were severely affected, as more than 200,000 people lost their lives.
I used to look out to the sea and just see a field of bodies and debris and rubble and horrible things.
Families of those vacationing in the area quickly searched for those they lost contact with, including the relatives of Canadians John and Jackie Nill. Sadly, they didn't survive. As relief workers searched Thailand, they found a digital camera belonging to the couple. The couple had managed to take a series of photos of the tsunami, striking the country before it swept them away, 16 minutes before everything changed. At around 8:30 in the morning on September the 11th, 2001, David Monderer went to the Manhattan Bridge in New York City to photograph the stunning skyline on a beautiful morning featuring the iconic World Trade Center's Twin Towers. As he packed up and was on his way home, at 8:46, the first plane struck the North Tower.
We want to go live right now and show you a picture of the World Trade Center.
It's believed his image is one of the last of the towers still standing unharmed. Monitor returned and took more photos as the towers faced further attacks and collapsed. Extremists from the group Al-Qaeda had hijacked 4 commercial airplanes to use as weapons to devastate the US with targeted strikes.
It seemed as if the terrorists had a script to follow and wanted to make sure the world was watching.
Within New York and additional attacks in Virginia and Pennsylvania, nearly 3,000 people lost their lives.
May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Robert Landsburg's heroics at Mount St. Helens. In 1980, as scientists were awaiting the eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington, Landsburg, a U.S. Navy veteran turned photographer, went to the mountain to document the volcano as it changed. On May 18th, the eruption occurred.
And a tremendous blast shattered the Sunday morning calm, a blast heard as far away as Vancouver, British Columbia.
However, Landsburg was only a few miles from St. Helens as the pyroclastic flow began to descend upon him.
The key feature of today's eruption is that it gave scientists absolutely no warning it was coming.
With incredible bravery, Landsburg continued taking photos of the mass of hot gas and volcanic matter. Then he packed away his camera before lying on top of it to protect it as he was engulfed. Around 60 people lost their lives.
The eruption that followed would be one of the biggest natural disasters in the history of our state and our country.
Over 2 weeks later, Landsburg's body was found, as were his photos, which have provided scientists with invaluable information on what happened. Are there any other eerie photos taken before disasters and tragedies that we missed? Let us know in the comments below.
This eruptive force could go on for 20 years or end in 20 minutes.